Good evening. Hello, hello. Good evening to all our viewers all over the world. I am most welcome to MCB Real Life Talk Show, where transformation, healing, and the blessing abound. It's another beautiful day. It is the day that the Lord has made. And the Bible says we should rejoice and be glad in it. I'm rejoicing, I'm glad. I'm very happy to be among the living is a privilege I do not take for granted. So I just want to say, be thou exalted to the Lord God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth. I declare that He is the Lord of all lords, the King of all kings, the ruler of all rulers, the wisdom of the wise, the power of the powerful. He's the one that sits in heaven and uses the earth as his footstool, the ever faithful husband to the backslider, and the rebuilder of broken down hopes of human lives. He's the one that will repair that broken heart. So come near to Him today, and He will see you through. I just want to say, be thou exalted, Lord God Almighty. You are good, you are excellent, you are wonderful. Blessed be that holy name. And another thing we do on this program is that I have an anchor, that I have to read. It's taken from Psalm 107, 1 and 2. Say, oh, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good and His mercies endures forever. The B part said, let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom He has redeemed from the hand of His enemy. So, and another version equally said, let the redeemed of the Lord tell their stories, whom He has redeemed from the hand of His enemies. On this platform, what do? We tell our stories. Storytelling is very interesting. You use stories, to come closer to people, to tell people stories. It changes people's life, inspires people, it empowers people. And through storytelling, people can relate to your culture, your values, your experiences, and it helps them move to the next level. And that's what we do here. So this evening, we're here to tell our story. And my guest today, she's not new to this show. In fact, she was the first lady that I interviewed on this show, the first person that I interviewed on this show. And I think this is our third time of coming back. She's a very good friend of mine. She's a sister of mine. And she's my mentor as well. So if you want anybody to mentor you out there, this is the lady that can, she's very calm, cool, and she knows what she's doing. All right. And she does most of the things that ordinarily other women will not do. And that's one of the things we're going to discuss today. All right. And the title you can see from there is Unstoppable Single Fathers in Business. Unstoppable Single Fathers in Business. We're going to talk about that. So I'm going to before I bring her, let me just quickly go through her bio so you know who I'm talking about. She's a woman that wears so many hats. All right. Her name is Margaret Thorley. She's an extraordinary multi-award winning entrepreneur and author of several books. She has dedicated herself to her great to two great passion, helping potential business owners experiencing multiple complex disadvantages, primarily due to poverty, lack of experience, relevant skills, and social isolation, establish successful, thriving businesses, especially close to her heart, as single parents and fathers. Through her career spanning more than 40 years, she has helped 150 people. In addition to this, she trains educators to prepare for single fathers, lone parents, and women to become their best version of themselves. Please help me to welcome my sister, Margaret Thorley, on this show. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, how are you, Minister Carol?
I'm all right. And you?
I'm very well. Praise be to God. Thank you.
Hallelujah. Thank you for coming to our show again. I think this is the third time of you appearing on the show.
It is indeed. It is well done, and I've watched it, and I follow you on a Saturday to my best ability, and I've actually seen the show growing. And well done to you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you very much. Thank you very much. Can you please introduce yourself? I know I did a little bit of justice to who you are, but we want to hear from the horse's mouth. Please introduce yourself and tell us who is Margaret Thorley, and tell us a little bit about your upbringing, about your background.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Well, Margaret Thorley, I'm the CEO of H&R Training Professionals, and this organization actually started when I faced redundancy back in 2011. And I really just didn't really want to work for anybody else. But during my journey working for an organization, which was to deal with particularly lone parents who are disadvantaged, I find that through my journey working with this organization for about 8 years as a business coordinator and a mentor, I find a lot of the single fathers was not getting the support that they needed. And imagine one day I was just literally getting ready to go to work and doing the school run at the same time. And then I got a call from the office saying to me, you know, don't come into the office. We need you to go to one of our partners. There is a client there waiting for you. And as I got there was the client. He was pacing up and down in the office. I introduced myself, who I was and what I do. And then I said to him, look, you know, been asked to come and see you. But the client was still pacing up and down. So eventually I said, would you like some water? And he looked up to me, saying to me, you just don't understand. And I said, well, I wouldn't understand unless you actually tell me what's happening. So he says to me, I've got no gas, no electric, and I've just dropped my daughter to school. So I don't know what to do. I said, okay, sit down. So he sat down. We talked for a while. I've asked him if this happened for a long time and how often. And I said to him, look, don't worry. There is an emergency fund that we're going to apply for. I went out when I spoke to their job coach, job advisor, explained everything. And I asked them if there was an emergency fund that this gentleman can apply for, which I did for him. And he got the money the same day. And then I started working with him. And as I was going as I was going back to work, kind of thing, I was just driving and I'm thinking, do you know what? If you ever start another business, I'm going to definitely set up a business just to work with single fathers. And but prior to that, been running my own business as a market trader, went on to be a publican, a lone parent, owning a pub, you know, so you can just imagine, went on to have businesses, retail shops, employing people. But this particular one that I'm doing currently, the H&R Training Professionals, is very dear to my heart. And with this one, we support them into employment, starting up their business with zero finance, coaching, financial advice, and management. Those are the things that our organization do. And we gone on to win multiple awards for the work we do in the community.
Well done. Well done for what you are doing in the community. I mean, um, um, I have an advantage, to have seen quite the things that you're doing in the community. I just want to say well done.
Thank you.
Um, at first, I want you to go back a little bit to tell us how you began, not before you get to this place, because some people when they see you now, they think this is how just drop from nowhere and you became who you are today. So, or you would usually like to tell people about who we were before, how we started, because peradventure there are people who are struggling, you know, um, for them to know that there is hope for them in future if they don't give up. All right. So I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background before you became, an entrepreneur. We're still going to come into this. I'll, go deeper into that. But meanwhile, what happened before you became an entrepreneur?
Before I became an entrepreneur, is I found myself, back in the 60s, your parents kind of come over to great England, the land of opportunity and everything, then the children are kind of left behind. And then eventually the children would then come in to follow the parent. And when I came, I was the last one out the 7 kids to come and join the family. And as I get here and I realize, oh my God, I'm coming from a really hot country, feeling really comfortable, loved grandparents and everything. And then I find myself, I've just walked into a war zone because our parents were constantly fighting. And so we become really well known to the social services. And eventually we were kind of split up, different children's home and everything. And then social service worked really hard to bring the family together. But obviously I'm a stepchild. So I remember going to school with all my brothers and sisters, those that were that age. And I come home to a house completely empty. The council has given my mother a place to move, but she kind of left me behind with my father. And then obviously didn't really get on really well with my father because I was quite new as well, because, I haven't seen my father for years and years. And eventually didn't get on really, really well, end up being homeless, locking me out, chucking me out. And for me, social services, I would always hold them very dearly to my heart because when social service went to visit my stepmother, they realized a child was missing. And the child was missing, it was me. So they went all out trying to look for me. And none of them, my stepmother was not giving them information. My father wasn't giving them information. And the only thing they got to find me, I ended up in a hospital because I had a fire and cut my finger and my dad chucked me out. So I was bleeding. And the next door neighbor called the ambulance. And this is how social service got to find me. And by then I was already sleeping rough anyway, previous to that. And because I was sleeping rough already, but I was hungry. So I decided to go home, to get some food. Unfortunately, my father was there. He wasn't very happy seeing me. So I ended up in the hospital anyway, and social service find me there. It was a very tough journey because from there I was moved from one foster home to another foster home while social service trying to find me a home, a children's home at the time. And as they did so, I was so exhausted within getting in the children's home. Less than 6 months, I kind of lost my voice completely. I went to bed speaking. I woke up not speaking. So you now got the whole of the children's home, the staff going, they think I was pretending, she's just, and they suddenly realized, I'm crying, I'm upset and everything. They suddenly realized, no, this is real. This is absolutely real. Got a teacher, they got doctoring, they got all kinds of medical people trying to check and everything. They were thinking, well, what do we do with this child? She went to bed speaking and come out not speaking. So this went on for about a week, and obviously they contact the school to explain what's happening. And I remember they were having a meeting and I kind of dropped ears. And I remember one of the doctor, and I always say, thank goodness for that doctor, because they were going to move me to a special need kind of home in school.
Wow.
And the woman, the doctor said at the time, who was kind of looking at my case, he said, no. He said, don't move her.
Trauma.
Leave her exactly where she is. I've read her case. For what she's gone through, it looks like she hasn't been in the country for a long time, and she's gone through so much in a short space of a year to two. Yeah, leave her alone. So they did. 6 months later, down the road, went to bed, woke up, I was speaking. And everybody was kind of celebrating.
What kind of miracle is this?
And a miracle happening, And so from there on, after I've left the children's home, I saw all kind of stuff, which was drug, prostitution, you name it. Even my best friend in the children's home, her name was also Margaret and everything. So they used to call us Margaret number one. She was a lot older than me. And she's been in the children's home for a long time. Can you imagine you being called Margaret 2 throughout your growing up? So you're like second person you
Yeah.
know. And but when I left the children's home with all what I saw and everything, one thing I will just say, the grace of God. I don't know how I did it. Never got around to take any drugs. Never got around to join none of the activities that was going on and prostitute drinking. I just didn't get none of those. And I remember at the age of 14, 15, telling myself that I'm going to make it.
Wow.
I'm going to make it. I don't know how, but all I knew there that I'm going to make it. Because if I say to myself, I'm not going to take none of this, I'm not going to join
Mm.
none of these activities, drug, booze, sexual stuff, and everything, then I know I stand a better chance. And so after that, that was it. I left kind of up and down a little bit. And finally, I remember, got a job in doctor surgery as an admin, you know. And I remember sitting there putting the records. This is when the computer newly came out. So I was putting in, and I got never worked before, but I just got this manager every minute kept looking at me, kept coming to the computer, kept putting me, and I was getting really upset. And after 2 days, I went home. I never went back again. And they called me and they said, what happened? We haven't seen. I said, please don't worry. I've sacked myself. So you don't have to worry or pain me. I've sacked myself. Imagine sacking yourself at a job at the
Mm.
age of kind of 17, 18, coming up to 18. And that kind of actually started my journey. Went on to do beautician work and hairdressing. And from there onwards, I actually got to do my work. It's all about red lipstick. So for me, that was part of my background.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful story. But I'm still going to ask you to kind of talk to somebody out there now that is watching or might watch this later. It could be a child, it could be an adult that has gone through that traumatic journey that is still affecting them. Can you please speak to them? You know, that there is hope for tomorrow if they don't give up.
Definitely. Sitting here, I wish I could say to you that I probably many, many years ago, I would have been where I am today. If I would have known that, I'd be lying. No, I didn't. But like I said to you, during my journey was making up that I'm going to survive no matter what it was. And I want to speak to anybody out there who's gone through the trauma of growing up in a children's home, a fostering home, or you are still in a children's home, you are in a fostering situation. It is not the end. It is not the end. You have got so much ahead of you. All right. Ask for support. Ask for support. You know, if you're struggling somewhere, make up your mind. Don't follow your friends, what your friends are saying, what your friends are doing. Don't get involved whatsoever. Stay level head as best as you can. And for me, that's what really saved me, because what happened when I was in the children's home, I had some amazing staff. They suddenly realized, actually, I was different. I was unique because I'm not joining anybody, and I wasn't bowed down to any peer pressure. And when you're in the children's home or any setting, in the school or the right chances, there is that peer pressure. But I stood up and said no to peer pressure.
Wow.
I stood up in terms of, you just had to look at me back in those days. My face would say all that, say, this one, just leave
Mm-mm.
her
No
alone.
go area.
Yeah, don't go there. So I've set that standard was so high that people
Mm.
knew what to come and say to me and what not to say to me. So I want to encourage you out there, if you're going through any kind of bullying, and you're going through any kind of feeling, oh, my life is over, I'm not good enough in this, you're really, really struggling, I want to say to you, the other side to that feeling, there's another side to it waiting for you to take that first step. And you can take that first step. And yes, you can make it. Just stay focused. Yeah. So that's so important. Stay focused.
Stay
Don't allow
focused.
bullies or peer pressure to kind of put you down.
Stay focused.
Stay
If you
focused.
are in that state, or you have been through, or you are wondering, because from the story you told us, I can see that there's an abandonment there. You
Mm-hmm.
know, your parents abandoned you, both parents, they neglected you, they didn't take
Mm-hmm.
care of you at that age. You know, and for somebody, a child coming from another country to a new country, it could have been very hard for you,
It
you
was
know, and you were
it,
abused financially because it did. I mean, no food, no finances, nothing. And then you came into the hand of complete strangers. That could have been very, very traumatic for you. But could it be because you were born back home? That was why you had that resilience to be able to, you know, to say no to peer pressure. Because some children here, they're very weak. I will say, I
mhm.
don't know. I think I just used that word weak, you know, because they're not able to resist peer pressure. What do you think about that?
No, definitely, definitely, because when you're saying that, I remember my grandfather, back home. One thing he would say to us when we go to school, he says, you're gonna have to look after yourself when we go to the farm and everything. And he says, if there are bullies in the school and they start bullying you, he said, don't go for the whole group. He used to say, look for the leader. He said, look for the leader, right? And when you get the leader, well, you deal with the leader. And you know what?
Oh, that's wrong.
Yeah, I remember that advice, and he's always saying to you, my grandfather back then, he always said to me, don't be afraid being you. All right. Don't be
Yeah,
afraid standing up for you. And I suppose all that they're saying back then, you're back home, you're
absolutely.
free, friends and everything. You don't really think much of it. But when I found myself in that situation, those things of, not allowing somebody to bully me, not allowing somebody to undermine me, not allowing somebody, put peer pressure on me, it kind of just kicked in unbeknown to me. So yes, it did. It really did help for us.
Awesome, awesome. All right, now I'm going to ask you this question. How did you become an entrepreneur and what motivated you to start it?
Wow, thank you. You see, I never really, to be honest with you, through the trauma, growing up from a children, back and forth, sacking myself from a job,
Yeah.
because I didn't want anybody to tell me anything. Just finished training as a beautician, as a hairdresser, kind of
Mm,
find myself at the age of 21, kind of pregnant with my first son and everything. Ain't got a clue what I was going to do, and I was incredibly, a very, very fearful person back in those days. And it was a really good thing that you said rejection. So I carried the baggage of rejection, and one of it was I was not good enough.
yeah.
You know, I was
Mm,
not good enough and everything. Plus, I wasn't aware back then I was dyslexic at the same time. So I
mm,
thought I was stupid. Not good enough, stupid. So I was carrying all these baggages with me, and one day kind of not working, and just went to the post office to cash my check, my gyro back in those days, and it was only £35. And I remember being a young parent and cashed the £35, looked at it, had to get the nappies, got the milk, I got to pay the rent, I got to do this and everything. But my lipstick has run out, my red lipstick, because I'm not a makeup person. I was just back in those days, I just thought if I wear a red lipstick, it's just going to make me feel good. I can
mm-hmm,
smile more. And I don't know why I feel that way. So my red lipstick was very important to me.
mm,
And I remember went to one shop, that was selling makeup and everything. Saw the red lipstick, fantastic. It is within my budget. I can afford it. But it didn't suit me. They were all wishy-washy. Then there was a shop that was open for women of color. So I crossed the road to this shop, that was catering for women of color. And
mm.
oh my God, I think I was in a candy shop. I loved it. The colors, I've never seen such vibrant and brilliant colors. Find the red lipstick I wanted, went to the cashier. And as I got to the cashier to pay, and I thought it was like 50p. And it says, up to today, and you're talking about my older son, this is me giving my age out here. He's 40 now, and I still remember the price. And I remember the lady saying to me, the cashier saying to me, oh, it's 2.99. I think
Wow.
I think my brain froze, you know, and like, what, 2.99? What do you mean 2.99? And kind of like say, right, I don't know why you're selling that lipstick for 2.99. Just come across the road. They're doing them for 50p. Now I want to speak to the owner. I want to speak to the owner of the business right now. And at this point, I was kind of really shouting at the top of my voice, demanding to see the owner because I wanted to know why they were selling it so expensive. And they threatened to call the police. And I said, yeah, you call the police. I don't care. I'm not moving. You know, and you know what? The owner came down. The owner came down trying to speak to me and just wouldn't have it, just literally wouldn't have it. And I went up, I remember, tall Jewish man, tall with the ringlets and everything. And I walked up to him as he was talking. I said, I tell you what, I'm going to put you out of business. And I turned and walked away. And I'm going home now and thinking, what have you done? What have you just done? What's the matter with you? How are you going to put him out of business? You got no money. You've never run
Mm.
a business. You know, so all those things. But do you know what? That just spurred me on because I wanted to change the makeup face to say that women of color, we cannot have a cosmetic that is reasonable price. And for me, that's how I started my first business, and I became a market trader, which opened a massive door for me, going to New York, travel all places, New Jersey's. So I was kind of bringing cosmetics from New York for women of color at a reasonable price, affordable price. And yeah, and then I went on and contacted all the manufacturers in the UK. And I remember that I went in there, didn't have the money. I said, I don't want the money. I don't care. I just want you to make these colors. And I just gave it all for free. And yeah, kind of changed that. You can, as a woman of color back in those days, that you can go out there and pick up a lipstick for 50p. Or
Wow, that's a beautiful one. And did you make the guy run the guy out of business?
well, no,
Were
I
you
mean
able to
it's
do that?
well, not really,
Not a
because
Jewish man.
not really, because but at the end, actually, it's kind of became also my supplier, or I supply him if I come with some stuff. We became kind of, because he had I find out he had a wholesaler at the same time, so we kind of like begin to work, and I'll go to him, look, I got this new colors, what do you think, kind of thing, you know. So no, I didn't run him out of business, but it just shows that was the grace of God at work at that time, at that moment, because that began my journey as a businesswoman.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing I got out of that your story is that for you to discover your purpose in life is ever something you like so much or something you hate. So you
Mm,
are able to provide or to become a solution to that particular thing. That's what you just did there. You
yeah.
didn't like the price. The price was too high. You say, you see what? I am going to make sure that I bring the prices down. You wanted to be a solution provider, and that was what something angered you, something provoked you to that extent. So for those people out there that are thinking like, oh, I don't know, my purpose in life or what to do, is that something you are very interested in? Or something that people do, it just angers you. You want to just bring that solution. That's it. God
Yeah,
bless you. Thank
thank you.
you. Yeah.
For
Do you want
me,
to say something?
yeah, for me, what you said is right, because when I'm teaching business startups and everything, that is something I say to people: it's what you're passionate about. That is your purpose, because you're so passionate about it. You want to change. You want to make changes to wherever it is. You want to bring a solution. And that's
Mm.
where you start. Because when you feel that the kind of anger, you want to change something, that's when you're now going to be motivated enough to do something about it and bring the changes that's much needed.
All right. So now we're going to that area where you have specialized now, single father. I just want you to tell us what motivated you to start running those workshop training for single fathers and men. Yeah, single fathers or men. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We actually specifically focused on single fathers and men. Although that really going way back again, 2011, the whole organization was actually started for men, for single fathers, for men, because of the first kind of experience that I have with the single fathers. But what happened during the journey of applying for fundings, because our organization, HNI Training Professionals, we kind of depended back then a lot of it through fundings. And we watched the funding change, the face of the funding changing, focusing more and more and more and more on women. And then we find that the men were getting less and less and less and less into the workshop. And until, finally we had no more men attending our workshops whatsoever. However, during the COVID-19, we had quite a few men that was referred to the organization at that time. Although it was COVID-19, we were still running workshops such as business startups and teaching assistants. We were already running them before the COVID-19. But we had other organizations that know us very well that we give kind of financial advice in terms of in terms of either funding, in terms of your benefits, if you're in a temporary accommodations. And obviously we watch a lot of that rose up among the single parents, single fathers. So I had a group of I wasn't sure they were single fathers at the time, but I had groups of men in the business startup. The women were talking, what's happening to them, how they're feeling, the anxiety, not having enough food, gas, electric, the utility bills, and also working with the children, one laptop, all those kind of stuff. But the men were not talking. The men were not talking. So week 2 to the training. So when everybody, I say to them, I announce then and say, listen, guys, I want all the ladies, when you log off, the men should stay behind. So the men must stay behind, and which we did. The men stayed behind. Everybody logged off. The men stayed behind. And I say, hey, guys, what's happening? I know there are things happening. You've heard the ladies talking. What's happening in your life? And I find that exactly they're going through the same as everybody else is going through. But in their case, they felt there was no help for them. They didn't know where to go for help. And I said to him, no, there is help. So kind of start talking to them, had one-to-one coaching, kind of contact some of our partners out there regarding temporary accommodation, maybe food vouchers, energy vouchers, contacting the schools because maybe they needed a laptop and everything. So we begin to work with them on that side. And then I begin to form like a men network. So the women will log off, they will stay behind, and we will talk and everything. And and this is how it all started, and we finished the training. They feel motivated. They now know where to go for help. But then after the lockdown, I kind of say, right, okay, what do I do next for men? What is it? What need does the men need? And that's where I started the Father Talk Show, which was back last year, October. That was our first Father Talk Show. I didn't stop then. Then I went on to put a funding application on so we can run workshops specifically for single fathers and men. And hence why the program is called Unstoppable Single Fathers and Men.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And how is the response? Did you, face any negative response or block walls? Because most cases men don't really talk, or they say, "Oh, you're a woman, you can't." I'm not sure you're able to solve our problems. Did you receive such responses?
Well, yes. Funny enough, normally if we're kind of putting any program out there specifically for women, it will take us less than a month to recruit. But this time it took us 3 months to recruit. And I was contacting all our partners that we worked with, and it was like, okay, single fathers, that's the response I'll get from my partners in terms of single fathers. Why single fathers? Wrong. They will say, good luck to you on that one, to reach out to them. But you know what? I find at that point, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
Where I got resistance recruiting them, I said, you are in the right place. So it took us 3 months to recruit, and kind of had to pray because it was like 3 months recruiting, no men, absolutely no men. And I
Mm.
said, and then I took time off. I said, God, you've given me this project. All right. I believe in this project. I believe it's an excellent project. But at the moment, I'm struggling recruiting for the training. I said, God, you have to step in. And
Mm.
within 2-3 days, I went into our Google Doc. There were 11 men
Wow, that's
registered.
good.
11 men. And when I rang the men, and this was the respond, when I asked them, why have you registered? And they would say to me, well, first of all, I couldn't believe there is a workshop only for men.
Wow.
So I've registered to see if it's true,
Mm.
or I've registered to see if somebody's going to call me.
Mm.
And then as I have a longer conversation with them, and they come on board and everything. And like you rightfully say, standing there, you're a woman, and there was a classroom full of men, single fathers and men. And I remember the first day before I start training, opening up my mouth to train, and in here I started to have this massive conversation in my head that was saying, "What are you doing? You got all this, you're a woman. Are they going to listen to you?"
Negative chatter.
Yeah, in my head it was going on. But however, I had a voice saying to me, because I'm having this conversation during when they were introducing, who they are and
Mm.
what made them uh, want to do the training. So when it came to an end, and a voice inside me said, just be you. Be you, be honest, be transparent. And that was it. And we ended up training 30 single fathers and men. And it was awesome. Amazing.
Wow. 30.
Yeah.
Indeed, be you. And with God, all things are possible. That was
Yes.
all you did there. You knew He was the one to ask you to go and do it. As a Christian, whatever you're doing without God is not going to work. And when you invited Him um, into the program or into what you wanted to do, what happened? The situation changed. That's one thing I just learned there now. So peradventure, there's somebody out there that is thinking, oh, I've started this program or I started this business, I've started this and it's not working. Go back to the drawing board, go back to your God, go back to your God who has sent you on an errand.
Mm-hmm.
Just explain to him and he'll show you the way to go. Trust him and then be you. That's another word you said. I
Yeah.
became, when the negative chatter started coming up your head, which will usually come, you said, no, I'm just going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you did that. So I hope people, the listeners, they will hear that and change and keep moving. Sometimes there is resistance because God asked you to do something doesn't mean that you're not going to face with resistance. The devil want to block the way, say no, you're not going nowhere. But you have said no, and this is for me, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to prosper, and things will just work out together for good. All right. The next question is, what is the success rate of these training programs that you run for single fathers?
Well, the success rates for that, like I said, our target for the funders then, it was to train 30 single fathers and men. Okay, so we hit that target anyway. And the great thing about it, what made it successful, the second, after the first round of the single fathers, because now they've gone through the journey and the coaching and the mentoring, because one thing I put in place throughout the journey of the training, I made sure they had a one-to-one with me throughout the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So each cohort would run for 6 weeks.
Hmm.
So when now we now going to kind of recruit, they're actually not telling their friends. So it made it a lot more easier for us. And the most amazing thing about it, some of them I'm currently working with them. They went on to start their own business.
Yeah.
Starting their own business, or they had their business idea and they've kind of put it at one side. They start working on their business ideas and everything. Some of them looking into kind of getting a job that they always wanted, or
Yeah.
sort out issues. Another thing with that came up a lot, being some of them single fathers, the way they became single fathers, the challenges they face is they had successful, I mean, I had some men there that had successful businesses, absolutely successful, but because they were fighting to have custody or share custody with their partner, they end
Mm,
up letting go their jobs. They end up letting go the business,
mm,
gone into sign on, which created a lot of anxiety for them. But
mm,
throughout the coaching, throughout the mentoring, throughout them talking to me, was,
mm,
I mean, as simple as just checking to make sure, say, get their names in a waiting list. All right, see if they can raise a finance to get a two-bedroom house, for example, so they could have their children to come and spend the weekend with them. So those are
mm,
some of the success stories as well. So not all of it was all about setting up a business, but also was kind of finding out where they could register to get an accommodation, where they could go estate agent to get private accommodation. So those are all the challenges that we were uh, working with as well, and we was quite successful. Some people got help from sending them back and saying, no, don't worry about it, you can get help in the housing, go and see somebody in the housing, or we will refer them to somebody who housing benefit, so we gave them that kind of support. But currently the father talk show that is coming up very soon, two of the fathers who actually completed the training, they are going to be one of my they're going to be the guest
I was
speakers.
just about to ask that question. You're faster than me now. So
Yeah, no,
let's.
I'm just so I mean, it just goes to show this now they've gone on. One of them is holding a part-time job and revive his business.
Oh,
The
good,
other
good.
one as well that's coming to speak about running a business and doing the school run, and it's so amazing. This is men, you know.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that question. How are they coping with, holding, having their children with them and still running the business? For we women, we know we can, kind of multitask. But
Mm.
how is it with the men? Have they ever discussed that with you?
Yes, of course. I mean, for me, actually understand this. Then the great thing about it is like at a set time now in the training, they're looking at the clock. It's time to go. I gotta go and do the school run. In that, and I sit there and I laugh and I understand. And the best one I could give you was one of the single fathers. I think one of the youngest daughter, was unwell, and he really wanted to come to the workshop. And guess what he did? He came with the children. He came into the training with the children.
Oh,
And I
that's
said,
good.
yes, I said, okay, come on, because it's all men, so he felt comfortable and everything. But yes, they have their challenges and everything, but they are doing phenomenal well in terms of what they know that at a certain time they have to leave to pick up the children. What I then did was put a kind of just fine tune the plans, the aftercare, where they can get extra support if they're running late, make friends with the other fathers there, the parent there, so it kind of helps out if they're running late. But yeah, they're doing a phenomenal job. Absolutely fantastic, doing the school runs as well as running a business.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. I really appreciate that. Now, tell us about all these Father's Day talk show that is coming up on the 29th of October.
The Father Talk Show, again, is when you're passionate about something and it's heavy in your heart, you know that is your calling to do something. Because after COVID-19, I realized I needed to do something. At the time, I wasn't sure 100%.
Yeah.
But then, because I too was kind of burnt out as well during the COVID-19 when I finished the training. So I thought, okay, I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to do a father talk show, and this talk show is to create a platform for men who are single parents, who are running a business, or they are working, to come and share their story to encourage other fathers out there. So the Father Talk Show is basically to do that, to create that platform so we can reach out other single fathers out there to let them know you're not the only one. There are other single fathers out there, and you're able to get the support that you need, and to say we appreciate you, we support you. Hence why the Father Talk Show, on the Father Talk Show, this is our second year. And what I'm really excited about, like I said to you, two of the guest speakers, they are actually fathers who finished the training, coming in to share their story and their journey. And I've also got an amazing lady who's coming to speak as well. She is going to speak on trauma, men going through trauma. And that is something that humbles me during the training. I was so humbled when I was doing the one-to-one coaching. They were sharing their story with me, the trauma they went through. So this lady is coming in to speak to them, so they just kind of make them aware, if you are going through a trauma in a relationship, are you in a relationship with a narcissistic? What can you do? What steps can you do, to stand up to say no and put some kind of boundaries in place?
Are
So
you
yeah,
talking about women now, or men as a narcissist, or
and
women as a narcissist?
this is men dating women that are narcissists. The other women are there. Oh my God. I mean, I'm currently working with quite a few, because when I was doing the one-to-one coaching, it was so humbling, because some of the men are actually crying what they've gone through.
Really?
Their marriages, yeah, what they've gone through in their marriages and everything like that. And most of the stuff that came in that hurts a lot of the men is when the partner is telling them, "What, you call yourself a man? You're not a man. You're not good enough. You can't do anything. You're useless. You're worthless."
Yeah.
And they went through that again and again, day in, day out, day in, day out. And it becomes ingrained into them that they were not men, they were not good enough, they're not good fathers, they're not going to do. And so when they finally kind of probably leave that relationship, that trauma is so much for them that even going out there to set up a business, or they've left their business due to all what's going on, it's kind of really traumatic for them. So what we want to do, this is why I'm getting this lady to come and speak out there to tell any man that's out there that are in such a relationship what to do.
Wow. Is it a free event? And if you want to come or come on the day, how do they follow you?
It's absolute free events. It's going to be live on Facebook. It's going to be live on YouTube, and you can follow us on some of the platforms as well. When I'm posting on Facebook and YouTube, you can follow us on the link on that day, which is on the 29th of October, and it's at 7 p.m. So it's going to be similar to what me and you are having right now, having this chat. So it's going to be like a chat. I'm going to have a chat with the men. They're going to share their story, and I'm going to, and yeah, giving you free tips from a man's point of view as well,
It's
being a
very
single.
necessary. It's very important that we hear from the man's point of view. I mean, when you say there are narcissic women, I open my mouth, because naturally we don't think so. We just think it's only men that are, cruel, that abuses. But there are few women that does even worse
Oh
than
yeah,
men.
yeah,
I've heard that.
yeah.
A
I
lot
mean,
of
for
it.
me, throughout the coaching dimension, I was shocked when I'm hearing it, and they're sitting in front of me and they're crying,
Wow.
and you're like, because the way my background, where we came from, men are supposed to be strong. You can't hear men this,
Men don't cry. Men be
yeah, men don't
strong.
cry.
Don't
Yes,
show your
yeah,
emotions.
yes, step up a lift, get on with it. You're the man, you're in control and everything. And here you are, you're having this man, you know, sharing their journey, what they've gone through in the hands of their missus and everything, and not be able to see their children, and fighting
That's the
through
worst of it
courts.
all.
Yeah, fighting through courts and feeling that they're not being heard in the courtroom as well. That was a lot of thing that kept coming up time and time again. The men feeling they're not being heard. And these are men who want to be part of their children's life. But what
Mm.
I've learned through that journey, society is so busy talking about the absent fathers who don't want to know. They
Putting
don't
all
want
them together.
to, yeah. And you've got this group of men who wants to know, who wants to be part of their children's life, and they feel they're not getting the support that they need.
Thank you for what you are doing. I think through what you are doing now, people are going to be aware, they become aware, and the awareness will come to other people. Somebody will tell the other person will tell you until it gets to the right
Mhm.
people. Then, by God's grace, I think laws and policies will begin to change. I think they are changing because men are beginning to speak now, you know.
Yeah.
So I just pray that, the Lord will help us all. And thank you once again for what you're doing. Just in case there's someone out there, who is going through some my problem in a relationship, please get in touch with our sister Margaret on this number 07469 181 634. I repeat that, it's on the screen. 07469 181 634. Call her anytime, be able to speak with her. And if you also want her to come and speak with, the men in your church, in your life, or you have a group of men that you want, their lives to be transformed, to go to set up business, isn't it? To set
Yeah.
up, businesses. Call her. She's ever ready, to come and speak to them and set up a workshop training for them that will transform their lives. Does it have any age limit?
From 25 upwards.
Okay.
From 25 upwards. Another thing as well, they can go onto our website, which we particularly created for men, which is Let's Change Your Life with Margaret Thorley. And when you go into that website, you can actually see all the work that we're doing, the men that we've worked with, their testimonial, they're sharing their story as well. And you can actually fill in a form in the website as well, which I would get. And if I need to, if you want to speak to me as well. So if you want to go, Let's Change Your Life with Margaret Thorley, just put that in, the website will come up.
I'm trying to do that quickly.
Okay.
Let's change your life.
Yeah, www.letschangeyourlifewithmargaretthorley.com.
Is it one word? Let's change your life.com.
Yes, all one word. Let's
Mm.
Change Your Life, all one word.
I did it separately, but then
Yeah. Let me see if I can put it up here on the chat. You know. I think that's it. Or even if you just put Margaret Thorley, we will come up on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, if you put Margaret Thorley, we will come up on the website and you can see all the work that we need and the testimonial, the trainings as well. So, yeah.
All right. I think that's about it for tonight. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you. I think it's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I
you got
just
it there.
answered it.
Yeah, you got it there.
Yeah.
You know. And I
Yeah.
just want to encourage the men, if you're going through any kind of situation, do reach out. Reach out to your friends, speak to them. Because one of the things that we were coming across a lot, most of them, they were like not talking, not sharing because they
Yeah.
feel so embarrassed.
Embarrassed. Yeah.
Yeah, they feel so
Mm.
embarrassed. Like, you should be able to deal with your wife. You should be able to deal with this situation.
Yeah.
And also the feeling that there was no support there for them. Where can they go for help? You know, just speak to your friends if you're going to church or wherever you're going, your leaders, what kind of religion you're at. Speak to an elder in the church, in the mosque, because it was amazing. We had different background of men that came through the training. And it was
Mm.
so fascinating when they were getting to the conversation. But I really want to encourage you. There is help out there. Okay, there is help. And we're here also to help you. If you need any kind of support, just reach out to us.
Awesome. There is help out there. And indeed, there is help for everyone, whether you're a man or woman, whatever you're going through. Just get in touch. Speak to somebody. Don't speak to somebody, in your church, wherever you're at work, at home, your neighbor, even your neighbor. You'll be shocked the information out there. And
Mm,
because of lack of information, you suffer in silence. Always be willing to talk, and people are willing to help you. It doesn't matter, even if they laugh at you. Do you know that most men commit suicide because of all this? Because they're ashamed. They
yes.
feel, people are going to laugh at them. They rather die than, kill or whatever themselves than be ashamed or people to laugh at them. No, that's not the end of life. You know, every one of us have got weaknesses and strengths. So all you need to do, talk to somebody. Talk to your GP. Even talk to your GP. Talk to somebody out there, and I'm sure they will be willing to help you. Help is there. And thank you very much once again for coming, Sister Margaret.
Thank you for having
We're
us.
still going to invite you over and over and over again.
I
You're
look
part
forward
of the
to coming
family.
over and over again.
You're part of the family. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, dear viewers. Thank you for joining in. We appreciate you. See you next week. Remain blessed. And bye bye for
God
now.
bless. Bye bye.